Hi there, my name is Enrico Lehmann. Today I'm going to talk about the consequences of our luxury upgrade in electronic goods. We live in a digital age that moves at a fast pace. We surround ourselves with dozens of electronic gadgets such as computers and cell phones, and it is difficult to imagine life without these crucial tools to help us process information and communicate. The overwhelming speed at which technology develops requires that we constantly update our machines. We get new, faster, and fancier products to replace our old units at a much cheaper price. As we continually upgrade, we wonder ourselves, what can we do with our outgoing electronics? Now, here's the overview. We have the US consumption of electronics first, disposal of our electronic goods, what e-waste is about, recycling of electronic goods, consequences of dumping, what can we do to help, and what can the government do. Now, to start off with, here we have a typical US couple, John and Katie, both working professionally and earning a lot of money. They watch their TV, and one day when they go to their friend's house and watch the Super Bowl on what is called HD TV, they are amazed. So they go to the nearest Best Buy and purchase a brand new LCD HD TV themselves to enjoy life. Now, at the beginning this was fine, as only a few people go for LCD TVs. However, the prices of electronic goods tend to depreciate in time. People always say never buy one until you need it because next year you can get the same one for half the price. The Wall Street Journal reported that in the year 2004, average price of laptop was $1,600, and last year that number has come down to $700. As a result of that, people can afford more Blackberries, Apple laptops, Samsung LCD TVs, and Dell computers. Americans annually discard about 300 million computers, while the world generates about 20 to 50 million tons annually. Well, so what happens to our old stuff then when we replace them? Well, some people sell their stuff at eBay and Craigslist, where the second-hand market exists. On the other hand, Dell and HP, they do recycling of electronic goods, and there are these companies that do recycling during Earth Day. But are you sure they recycle them? Well, here's what happens to those electronic goods donated during Earth Day by Earth E-Cycle. Here is a container in Hong Kong. In January 2nd, 2008, there were 26 containers of electronic goods that were found out by the Hong Kong government and were sent back to the US because of the dumping of electronic goods. Here is one in Africa, in India, and in China. Now, these are called e-waste. E-waste is basically electronic waste. They are not completely worthless because they contain some valuable materials such as copper, gold, and plastic. And yes, even the plastic can still be recycled. The only thing that cannot be recycled is wood from all those old TVs. Well, those old CRT monitors, they contain hazardous materials. Each monitor contains about 4 pounds of lead, and in addition to that, it has mercury, cadmium, and arsenic. Frequent exposure to these chemicals can cause cancer and other damages to the brain, kidney, and lungs. So the question is, why are they being dumped? Well, it's because recycling them in the US can cost as much as 10 times the cost of shipping it elsewhere. In addition to that, the law of free economy takes control of the situation. The US has an abundance of used electronics, while the third world countries have a need for these things but cannot afford them. Consequently, we have a trade where the US gains in monetary value from waste, and the third world country citizens can purchase electronic goods at a much cheaper price. Furthermore, like I said earlier, most of these devices still work fine anyway, because they were just being replaced or being outdated. About 70% of the world e-waste ends up in Africa and Asia. Large profits can still be made even if 40% of the electronics dumped are broken. Importers get a lot of money because a lot of these electronic goods have a high rate of repairability. Now, so what are the consequences of dumping? Even though the locals get a good deal on electronic goods, it comes at a great cost of pollution of their land. Because there is no government regulation on waste, the unused electronics are often burned in open space. Uh, for example, cables are burned to expose the copper, and some valuable materials are often bathed in acid in open air, creating toxic fumes to release the gold in them. Kids who don't go to school scavenge for waste, scavenge the waste for good materials, and due to high composition of mercury and other chemicals, workers are exposed to hazardous materials without knowing it. Not only do these create unhealthy living environment, but they also ruin the social life of these workers. Now, here is a electronic e-waste dumping in Guiyu, which is a part of China that is affected greatly by this um, electronics dumping. Here is a man bathing circuit board in acid to get the gold. Here is the byproduct of that. It's a black liquid which is eventually thrown into the river. Here is a woman categorizing electronic parts. Here is a woman burning handphone case and smells it so that she knows what kind of grade of plastic it is. Here is a little boy helping the parents do electronics categorizing. Now, not all the companies are bad. We do have some good companies like Dell, Staples, and HP. They recycle consumer electronics for free. Dell recycles any computers and any other electronic equipment for free, even if it's not their brand. Staples gives $3 to consumers who recycle cartridges, while HP uses a lot of recycled materials for their cartridges. So, the real question is, what can we do to help? Well, for one thing, we can start by asking these questions. Are you sure you need to upgrade that phone? Are you sure you need a new computer? And last but not least, are you sure you need a new LCD TV? Well, apart from that, we also have to make sure that when we do buy a new electronic goods, we do not dispose them openly or just in our trash. There are people who recycle these things legally and cleanly. Now, what can the government do? Well, the existing EPA regulation only applies to CRT monitors, where exporters need to notify EPA 60 days before shipment, and that the shipment must be accompanied by and confirmed with an acknowledgement of consent provided by the EPA that the documents with an acknowledgement of consent from the importing country. Apart from that, higher tax on electronics goods will deter many people from considering an upgrade, while tax incentives for companies recycling will encourage more to be like Dell, Staples, and HP. Well, thank you very much for listening. A little action goes a long way. Thank you.